right, well, thank you for joining us. So we have here Gareth and Wayne and Mr. Bingo, and we're going to be discussing creativity. So we put together just a few questions to kind of get the conversation going. And one of the first questions we have is, what do you think about the role of tools in helping democratize creativity? You know, are you seeing that really manifesting in the world yet? Are people kind of adopting this in their lives?
I couldn't have done what I did if it wasn't for like tools like Adobe and stuff. That's probably why I'm here, I guess. But I mean, filmmaking, it's definitely democratizing everything. I think it's really changing things. I mean, now you can literally kind of make a movie from your bedroom type thing, and you can upload it onto the internet. It could be seen by millions of people, and that just wasn't true when I was at film school. Like, I think the last few years especially have been really interesting, and I think anyone who pretends they know how it's all going to pan out, I think, is a liar. But it's a very interesting graph. The difference between work that's done from home and like the highest end professional work, the gap's getting closer and closer, and it's inevitable that gap at some point is going to meet on the graph, and it's going to get very interesting then. I don't think anyone can really predict what's going to come of it.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a boom right now of people really exploring that creation.
Sure.
Yeah. Wayne, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I compare it to 31 years ago. I met I came down to London with my future wife. Still together, 31 years later.
Congratulations.
And we were two young people who had no idea what we wanted to do with our lives. I thought I wanted to be a pop star. Geraldine made clothes just for herself. And we emptied our wardrobes onto Camden Market and then Kensington Market. And we were able to, without any training whatsoever, we were able to build a business into a big international brand and then sell it for an awful lot of money and completely transform our lives. And I see technology and things like Photoshop and Illustrator doing a very similar thing for another generation. And we've got a pretty large team of young creatives working at Hemingway Design. And I told them what I was doing tonight, and I asked a couple of them, I said, what does it mean to you? And two of them said, it gave them the confidence to have a go. Two of them can't draw at all, and not that I'm brilliant at drawing, but they said they couldn't draw, and they never had the confidence to put pen to paper. But this gave them a chance to have a go and to be able to correct things and to be able to do it in privacy. So in a way, it opens doors. It does democratize.
Interesting. Yeah, I've actually, now that we're doing touch-based applications, there's a category of creatives who feel like they were disenfranchised by the keyboard and the mouse, and they actually can create with pen and ink, and that's kind of on the side. But now that's becoming more mainstream again. Now with digital input on pen and stylus, you can actually do that again, and it's kind of re-engaging a class of people who like that type of input. Interesting. Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Bingo?
I think I've got two sort of contradicting views about what this kind of software does for people, and that one is that it's absolutely brilliant because it means anyone can create and anyone can suddenly be a filmmaker or a graphic designer or an illustrator or a fashion designer. Yep. And that's great, and I think it's really nice that everyone has the chance to be creative. But on the sort of negative side of that, it means that there's so many people out there now being creative that it sort of dilutes what we had maybe 20 years ago, which was people at the top of their fields who would be recognized for doing these things, that it's now harder to find those people. So I can't decide which one of those I'm kind of leaning towards, but I think overall it's a really, really great thing that everyone gets to be creative now.
And I think we've seen this over history where broad availability of technology suddenly empowers a huge number of people and it changes the tenor. Certainly desktop publishing was that way. There were a few who could actually publish, and then anyone could publish at home. And you could use any font that you wanted to, and so people did. They used many fonts, right? So the kind of design of magazines really wasn't at the same level for that broader use, but you still had the upper echelon of high quality design and production. The same, Gutenberg, people being able to print books without having to be monks and handwriting them. Suddenly a lot more people had access. It always disrupts. So we're kind of in one of those disruptions right now.
My granddad used to say to me, we're here 70, and you might as well try to do everything you can to be happy. And that's what most human beings want to be, is happy. And I think one of the things that creativity does give people, and there are things to back this up. You know, it gives people happiness, and there are things to back it up, because if the lowest, by quite a significant number, the lowest truancy numbers and the lowest truancy percentage in British schools are in art, design, music and graphics. Now, you know, and the highest truancy is in maths and the sciences. Now, you don't go to school if you don't enjoy it, as simple as that. And if there's one thing that tells me that creativity is important, and you should give creativity to as wide a sector of the population as you can, it's the fact that young people, kids, want to do it.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So do you think everyone has this artist inside them waiting to get out? Is that what you guys think, or not everyone really has that?
I hope we do. I think it'd be really nice if everyone does have an artist inside them waiting to go. I know a lot of people don't think they do. I had this really interesting thing once where I went to a bar to meet my girlfriend, and her friends, a couple of friends were there, and they were businessman type people. And I got to the bar just before everyone else, and I was sketching some ideas down in a sketchbook on my own at the bar, and they came up to me half an hour later and said, "What were you doing in that book? What were those things?" And I said, "Oh, I was just drawing some ideas. It's kind of what I do in my spare time." And they said, "Are you creative?" And I thought it was such an interesting question. It was like a strange concept to them. Are you human? And I said, "Yeah, I think I might be. I suppose I suppose I am." And one of them just looked at me and sort of said, "What's it like? How do you be creative?" And I just had this amazing kind of moment of realization that it felt really lucky to be creative and have this thing that I do as a job every day. And I just felt really sorry for them.
Was it like a coming out?
It was, yeah.
Well, the second biggest driver of the British economy now is the creative industries. It's the second biggest employer. So you would imagine that proves that creativity is successful. It's to an extent, it's taken up some of the slack that we've lost with manufacturing. And if you look at the board, of big companies like Boots or Marks and Spencer's, they will employ designers to give them, to stick pins in people, to say, you know, well, for example, if you look at the National Health Service now, they will go, as well as going to scientists, they will go to the Design Council to get them to ask questions, because that's what designers and that's what creative people do. So yes, without a doubt. I remember being at school and can't wait for the bell to ring, and you get out and you go home because you couldn't bear to be there. I've never felt like that in my career. I've never waited for a bell to ring or for 5 o'clock to come. I don't mind if, you know, I'm married to a designer, we've worked together for 30 years, and if we're still talking about it at midnight, it doesn't matter because it doesn't feel like work. And to me, that's the best thing you can ever be, is never feel like you've been to work in your life.
That's awesome. Do you guys have any advice for people who are realizing, maybe I should start doing more of this?
Yeah, just don't listen to anyone who tells you you can't, really. It's, I think don't listen to people is a really good... don't listen, no, don't. We don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But genuinely, nobody knows anything is kind of like one of the golden rules of filmmaking. And every major breakthrough that's been done in the arts has been by people who are either naive or uneducated, and they try something, and God, it kind of worked, and a whole new door sort of opens up to things. And so I would say, don't listen to people like me, and just go off and do whatever you want, and if you enjoy it, we're all kind of made of the same thing, and if you enjoy it and you get a kick out of it, then there's probably going to be other people like you that will respond to it in the same way.
I would say, don't try too hard at trying to become successful. Don't try and become famous, and don't try and get publicity. I think just do something that you really enjoy and that you really want to do, and if you're really good at it, success will come to you. You know, people will find you. So I think a lot of students now, because they've got all these creative platforms and it's so easy to share everything online and stuff, it's very easy to try and sort of chase fame straight away as soon as you kind of decide you're going to be a creative person. But I think it's better to do it the other way around.
Makes sense.
Above all, for me, life's never been boring. It's you don't know what's around the corner next. It's always moving forward. Every day is different. and that bell never rings.
It's awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us in this panel. This was a great discussion, and thank you for being at our creative themed conference. So, yes. Oh, right. You can stay here. Yeah.